Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Pinnell, and I'm pastor here at Maranatha Fellowship, and I'm looking forward to getting to meet many of you this afternoon over a meal and afterwards. But I think Larry would be smiling right now if he was here with us. All the fellowship and the conversations, bringing everybody together, that was Larry. My journey with Larry is a little different than many of yours. I've only had the opportunity and the privilege to know Larry for the last about year or so, and a couple of the things that deeply impacted my life in him is with his journey through cancer, and he would always give me this bump right after we would spend a time praying together, and give me a big old hug and tell you, "I love you, kid." That's what he would say, and so that was his thing. And if I made a pretty good shot on the golf course, he would say, "Well done, kid." That's what he would say. So I did know we started a few minutes late, and I think he would have been, if this was a tea time, he would have been out there just like, come on, what's going on here? But those of you who know golfing, so it's just an honor to be here with you guys to celebrate Larry's life and the impact he had on each one of us in our unique way. So would you just join with me in a prayer of thanking God for Larry's life? Father, I want to thank you for our friend Larry. Thank you for his impact on our lives. I just want to say thank you for sending your son, Jesus, who by his death and resurrection will make it possible for us to see our friend one day again. Father, we thank you for the promise to be with us in these moments of great joy and pain. And Lord, we want this service to bring honor to Larry and his time here on this earth, but also one that honors you for his impact on our lives. And so, Lord, by your Spirit today, comfort us, strengthen our hearts and our minds for the journey ahead. And Jesus, I want to say thank you for being with us today and for hearing my prayer. And it is these things I say, amen. If you did not get a flyer or a handout, maybe someone next to you, but inside you'll see that there's the Lord's Prayer. For each one of us, we'll be reading that together, and then there's a song on the back, Amazing Grace, that'll be played. So for here on, we have the song, Here I Am, Lord, played by the bagpipes. All right, where's Lloyd at? Golfing buddy. There he is. Come on up, Lloyd. He's going to read Psalms 23 to us. That's right.
Hey, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
How many of you, is that your first time singing Amazing Grace to bagpipes? Me too. That's about everybody. Yes, there you go. All right, we have a scripture reading by Larry's grandson, Christopher Monroe.
You might want to move that up. From Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 10. Because of his kindness, you have been saved through trusting Christ. And even trusting is not of yourselves. It too is a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good we have done, so none of us can take any credit for it. It is God himself who has made us what we are and given us new lives from Christ Jesus. And long ages ago, he planned that he he should spend these lives in helping others.
Those words are very powerful when you really sit back and think about them. When Linda was sitting there planning this service just the other day, when she shared those with me, and she said, "These, and I want you to read them." And she said that she had a very specific reason for that, and so it was a very good selection of verses there. Rob, why don't you come now and bring the eulogy, and feel free to share some things that you were sharing with me. This is Rob. Those of you who don't know Rob, this is Larry's stepson. I'm almost my grandson.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming and sharing in the celebration and honoring of Larry's life. And I'm going to do that by sharing a little bit about Larry and his life with this eulogy. Larry's eulogy. Larry was born to Joseph and Mary Loughney on January 11th, 1938 in Ballina. I don't know if I said that right. Excuse me, Ballina. County Mayo of Ireland. He was raised by a mother who was physically and mentally strong. She had a strong religious faith and traditional values. Larry was one of 13 children. Linda, my mother, used to always love to look at his face whenever he called and spoke to his mother. He had fond memories of watching his father shave and loved his father's birds. In 1950s, Larry moved to England to seek better employment opportunities. He lived there with his first wife, Margie, and had a daughter together named Susan. In 1966, Larry immigrated to the U.S. and lived with his brother Dennis in an apartment in the Bronx. When Dennis was not working at Con Ed, Larry so loved working with him in painting and doing construction jobs together. Larry remarried in 1970s and had 3 more children, Joseph, Maureen, and Lawrence. In 1972, Larry got sober, which was a life-changing event. Larry and his 3 children moved to Monticello, New York in the 1980s, and he lived and worked in Empire Cottages, where he eventually became sole owner. His daughter Susan immigrated from Ireland, where she was being raised by her beloved grandfather and grandmother, to join him and her siblings. In the 1990s, he met and married the love of his life, Linda. Shortly after, they went to England for Susan's wedding, and then to Ireland to meet his mom and family. They were very fortunate to see some of the beautiful country in Ireland and spend time with his mother and his siblings, which you guys can do by going out there and seeing the boards that were placed up by my sister and my mother. They traveled to Ireland and England several times over the years and had great laughs while visiting his brother and sisters. Several of them even made it over for a visit. His sister Bea and her husband Guy visited, and they went traveling in a motorhome up the East Coast. Had a great time visiting Salem, Massachusetts. Had a great adventure with his sister Teresa and Mona and her husband Ramazan, and on a cruise from New York up to the Maine, stopping at many great famous landmarks. Stephen, who was a talented woodworker, sent us home with a lamp and 2 tables he made. His brother Michael and his wife Mary had us stay with them a few times. She would make these amazing snacks for us. We all know how Larry loved eating. She would make these amazing snacks for us when she came home from working as a chef at a castle. He also enjoyed spending time with the horses. Larry's pride and joy were his 4 children. Christmas and Easter egg hunting with his children and grandchildren were the best of memories. Larry, who loved watching golf on TV, was finally talked into going to golf course by his buddy Kevin. When visiting his stepson Larry and when he visited his stepdaughter Chris and Larry, her husband, they were hearing of Larry's playing golf. He was given a full set of golf clubs. His first set of clubs were given to my brother-in-law, gave them to him. Hearing of, he was given a full set of golf clubs, Larry. From then on, he was addicted. Let me say that again. From then on, he was addicted. Eventually, he was nicknamed Laser Larry. Could you picture that? By his golf buddies. I'm sure he had a pisser of a time with them guys. Every year he enjoyed going on golf trips to Myrtle Beach arranged by Kevin. Larry and Linda were also privileged to spend many Octobers with his brother Dennis and sister-in-law Pat in Myrtle Beach for a week. He so enjoyed the long walks on the beach with Pat and he always brought his golf clubs, came along with him so if you can get around the golfing. They also went to Virginia Beach with Pat and Dennis, where Linda got to visit with her next best thing at Christmas, Rosie and her family. Larry also had the privilege of working with his brother Joe. And when Joe came in from England, he did some work at Pat's house after her husband Dennis died. He loved being around his brother Joe and working with him. Joe being a smoker, mind you, Larry did not like smoke. But because he loved so much being around his brother Joe and working with him, revisiting old times and memories. He visited both his family in New York and Delaware with cherished moments. Larry's a man who walked in life with grace and would always say to his family and friends alike, "If you ever need anything, I'm here, please call." Loughney's life was one of resilience, love, and family bonds, from humble beginnings in Ireland to immigrating to New York for better opportunities. He faced many challenges and celebrated many success. Through marriages, separations, and new beginnings, he always maintained a strong connection to his family and his roots. His love for Ireland and his generosity towards others, especially his family, defined him as a kind and gracious man. Larry's legacy of love and support will continue to live on through those who knew and loved him. And if I had to say one word that described Larry, it would be humble.
It's hard to put a man's life in just a few pages like that, especially when someone who's lived a long life on this earth. Thank you for sharing that, Rob. We're going to have a special reading now by Elir. And to those of you who don't know him, my journey with Larry during the hospital there towards the end of his life, I went and was there almost all night one night, and Larry just kept looking at Linda and saying, "You need to send this boy home." And maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I went home fully expecting in my heart, thinking that Larry was going to pass. Called Linda the next morning, and he was doing much better, and it seemed like things were going to make a change there for that. And then when he did eventually pass, but Larry was there, as I understand it, as he crossed over. And so this is a very special reading that Larry really held dear. And so Larry, would you come and read that for us?
I guess they didn't tell you about me. I'm a man of few words. I woke up this morning and I heard all the rain. And the first thing that I thought of was the heavens cried for Larry today. And at the same time, they shed their tears of joy for his rebirth into heaven. Now, I know that Larry is probably today the featured speaker at the big meeting in the sky. That's what happens when you die in AA. You get to be the speaker at the big meeting. So, I needed some help. So in my quiet time, I asked for some inspiration to write a few words, because my human words are insufficient to describe the friendship with Larry and his journey in the spiritual life. So I wrote a few words. And this is a tribute to my friend Larry. And it's a sentiment that is echoed by so many. My name's Zalir, and I'm powerless over alcohol. For those of you who don't know, that's how we do it in AA. So when Larry shared at an AA meeting, he would introduce himself by saying, "My name is Larry, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm sober by the grace of God and the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous." He'd always say that. That introduction is the old-timers' way. Those few words say everything. They're the very essence of AA recovery. They speak of the quintessential principle that guides and governs the lives of the most spiritual beings, both in and out of AA. So, what do I mean by this homage? And how does this apply to Larry? Well, let me tell you from my experience with some of the greatest AAs I've had the privilege of knowing in my last almost 39 years in the fellowship. We have what we know as the 36 principles, the 12 steps of recovery, the 12 traditions of unity, and the 12 concepts of service. These are actions we take to ensure a sober life. Without them, we wither and die. Embedded in them are spiritual principles that guide our lives, from honesty, hope, and faith to service to others. These are virtues, the things that men and women do to make life worthwhile for themselves and those around them. All of these principles and virtues boil down to one thing, something that you already just heard: humility. We define this guiding light in a number of ways. It's as the desire to become what we could be, that which God has intended for us, or that humility is not thinking less of ourselves, but thinking of ourselves less. In either of those definitions, or any other one for that matter, I know of only one word that translates that concept of humility into action. Only one word that personifies it today, here and now. That word is Larry Loughney. His life, his sobriety, his love, and his dedication. Larry is one of the humblest people I have known in my sober life. He was easy to love. He was easy to befriend. He was easy to talk to. And he was easy to play golf with. It was evident from the first time we met at the Attitude of Gratitude, soon after Janice and I moved to Delaware in late 2018. It started out by sharing at the meeting, holding hands during the Lord's Prayer, and the meeting after the meeting conversation that eventually led to a round of golf at Jonathan's Landing. And it was a blisteringly windy day, temperatures in the low 30s. You talk about addiction. Little did I realize at the time that I would come to know a great friend who always smiled, who was kind with his words, and who was dedicated in his friendship. Through Larry, I was to meet a host of new friends like Kevin, Mike, Zippy, Jeb, Ross, Dave, Banker Bob, Lloyd, and many, many others. And of course, some of it involved golf. How could we forget? That chapter has many stories that inscribe Larry into our hearts forever. On a golf trip to Myrtle Beach, my first with a few of these friends, Larry and I roomed together. I would see him early in the morning reading his 24-hour day book and his daily reflections. That little black book had seen its day. It was well worn and a testament to his dedication to its teachings. It was also an inspiration for me to get back into reading it. I'd like to share with you an excerpt I read a few days before Larry's passing. It's from February 6th, 2 days before he departed our world. And it may have been one of the last things Larry read too, because he used the book religiously. It goes like this. As God finds amid the crowd a few people who follow him, just to be near him, just to dwell in his presence, a longing in the eternal heart may be satisfied by these few people. It may be that the longing of the human heart to be loved for itself is something caught from that great divine heart. Now, what I know is that patience, tolerance, love, and kindliness come to us from different channels, but originates from the divine. To see it, you need look no further than what Larry was to us. What he said and did was the expression of how he dwelt in the presence of that higher power whom Larry called God. Larry was to me and everyone I know a kind and gentle man. He worked with his hands, spoke with his heart, and gave with his soul. He was neither a parliamentarian nor an orator, but with his soft and humble speech, his spirit touched ours through the language of the heart. One of the most precious moments was in simple conversation. Whether on the golf course, AA meetings, or on the phone, Larry would say before departing, "Love you, kid. Love you, kid." How that still rings in my ear when I think of him. It was as if I heard him say it through his silent soul as I watched him take his last breath. All too often, he would help me with things and would ask for nothing in return. What he received had to be imposed on him. Larry was a fixer of broken things the way AA fixes broken souls. He too mended troubled souls that walked into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous longer than any of us. He was at it for nearly 52 years. Larry was also a builder of things, the same way AA rebuilds the lives of desperate men and women. He knew the fundamentals, and he worked at it, and he worked at them, a solid foundation. Whether it was concrete or whether it was faith, he knew how to lay it, to cure it, and to stand firm on it. What Larry gave in friendship rivals the very best of us. Success in life is not the accomplishment of great things. Many of us chase that illusion. Success is what Larry had. It is the accomplishment of a great many little things, things that matter to us in our daily lives, our daily strivings. This was Larry's great success. This was his journey, his adventure, and it was his partnership with the great reality. What Larry was, and will always be is the adventure of that little dash, that little hyphen that appears on our tombstone located between the date of our birth and the date of our death. It is the amalgamation of an entire lifetime of energy. Linda asked me to read this poem, appropriately called the Dash Poem, which was near and dear to both of their hearts. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line was worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? Or you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way that other people feel and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering the special dash might only last
me out of trouble and keep me from driving without a license, which he knew I was going to get in trouble. Anyhow, he offered without knowing me. He said, "Look, you can keep your vehicle at my place, and I'll take care of it until you get together. Now, keep in mind, I didn't know this man from anybody. He didn't know me, and he treated me like we had known each other for years. I was new into the program. He took my vehicle, and this again, and him and another buddy of mine made sure me on a daily basis, get me to meetings, and keeping me out of trouble. Never asked me to return. He was the most generous, and like it's been said here a couple times already today, most humble person that I had the pleasure of knowing. No matter the circumstances of the time of day, he would make time for me. When I was at my wit's end and running out of patience, he'd often tell me, "Slow down, lad." Even if I didn't want to hear it, that's what he would tell me. "Slow down, lad, take it easy." Anyhow, it's not going how it was planned. I was supposed to keep my shit together for this. Excuse my language. It's not working out the way I planned. Yeah, he was always, him and Mike Reardon both helped me out tremendously. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for either of them, and I believe they are together now wherever the good people go. So I owe it to both of those people, because honestly saying, truly, they both saved my life, and I'll be forever grateful. Larry treated the newcomer or the stranger off the street with the same respect as anybody else in the room. No matter who you were, he treated you with the same amount of respect, never judging. He always showed patience and understanding to the new person, and I watched him many a times offer a hand to somebody that was just coming off the street and treat them with the same respect as me, as anybody else in the room, as old friends. He would offer his hand to anybody and with the same generosity. He was always understanding. When he spoke at the meetings, it was always from the heart. You know, his knowledge, humility, and honesty about the program was shown to us in his everyday way of life. You know, there's been quite a few times when, and quite a lot of people, many of them in the room here, they would say, "Wow, I want to be just like that dude when I grow up." That's the truth. I heard that quite often on the golf course, in the rooms, everywhere. People say, "That's who I want to be like when I grow up," as well as myself. You know, his work ethic and the way of life. I watched a guy in his 70s outwork dudes that work for me in their 30s, and I was blown away. I seen him. I said, "Wow." And I pointed it out to some of the guys that work for me. I said, "This dude's 70-something years old, and he's kicking your ass." It was quite impressive. He had that demeanor and that way about him with everything he did. He was always he was jack of all trades. He's always busy. He was always gardening. He was always working on something. He was a pleasure to be around. Larry and I started golfing about 15 years ago. He was 71 at the time when he picked up his first set of golf clubs. I remember it clearly. He picked up on the game quicker than any of us at 71 years old. He picked up on it quick, and like was said earlier, his nickname was Laser Larry. And I watched many a times on the golf course with people half his age. Larry would stripe it right down the middle of the fairway further than anybody else to drive the ball. He was always smiling and joking on the golf course with his great cliches, his little Irish songs. He would do his little Irish jigs up around the green. He was always joking with me to clean the lump of shite off his golf ball. It was pretty comical. We had a great time. I watched Larry walk out onto a frozen stream at the age of 80. Now, keep in mind, this is not something, golf is something of balance. It's not something that's recommended. And I said, hey, Larry, you don't really have to go over there. We'll just give you a free drop. It's good. Larry says, no, lad, I got this. And walked out onto a frozen stream at 80 years old, proceeded to hit his shot off the ice, pulled it off, and walked back into the middle of the fairway. And it amazed me. I couldn't believe what I seen him do that. And Larry never even moved to the senior tees on the golf course until he was 85 years old. Didn't move to the senior tees till 85. I mean, it was pretty impressive to watch. He was also, I believe, when he was 85, shot below his age, which is it's a great achievement in the game of golf, to shoot your age or lower. And I don't remember exactly what the score was, but I know when he was 85, he shot, it was an 83, 82, which is pretty damn good for a guy that's been at the game for less than 15 years at that time. Anyhow, he was certainly a one of a kind. He was a great man, which I was lucky enough to have a part of my life. I'll miss the phone calls, the golf outings, the road trips, and the fellowship with my buddy. And rest in peace, and thanks for the difference that he made in my life. That's all I got.
Thank you, Kevin. What he says about the laser shot, I was half Larry's age golfing with him, and he would out-golf me any day of the day. I mean, it was hands down. I could not beat the man. We're going to now open it up. If you have a memory or a short story that you would like to share of your journey with Larry, you can feel free to come right on up, and I'll adjust the mic for you if you need to. So.
Lloyd's not up here. Here, that's fine. My name is Zippy, and I'm a grateful God alcoholic. Larry, I'd asked him almost 20 years ago. I've had 4 sponsors over the 50 years, and I asked Larry, I said, Larry, I'm looking for a sponsor, and I said, I'd love to have you as my sponsor. He said, I'll be your friend, kid. And I said, thank you. Being in AA at that time, long as I was, I knew what kid meant, especially from Larry. First time I met Larry, and Linda, I'm going to share this, he come in, had about 10 of us around a meeting. He come in to the meeting, threw his trench coat on a chair, and went and got coffee. These other guys are saying, oh, we got a newcomer. I'm saying, this guy is too comfortable in AA. Newcomers do not act like that. So if you come in and you got a trench coat, throw it on the chair, we won't know who you are. We won't know anyhow. It's as my buddy says, it's an Aunt Minnie meeting, which is anonymous. But the thing happened is we started the journey. And Kevin is right. We watched Kevin come in, and these 2 Irishmen grab him, and any place you saw 1, you saw 3. A couple things with Kevin. My granddaughter is now 28, and I think she was 14 at the time, had heart issues. If they couldn't patch her heart, she's going to have to have open heart surgery the next day. And I'm up there, I got away from my family. I have a little bit of an anger issue, and a couple of the family members was getting to me, and I started saying the Lord's Prayer, and I thought, God, of all times for you not to be, where are you at? And I went out in the hall of the hospital, Children's Hospital, and I'm hitting this phone. Where the crap are you at of all times? I can't even get my sponsor. And I looked up, and Larry is standing right in front of me. And he's got Irish Mike with him. And And Larry says, kid, you okay? You okay? And I says, yeah. And he says, what's the matter? I says, I just got news. They can patch your heart. He says, whew, we thought something happened. And he says, so what are you doing now? I said, I got to wait for her to come out of surgery. And he said, okay. We went downstairs and we ate a meal probably for 45 minutes or got a meal. And I still think, I told Larry here, a few months ago, I said, I think I owe you for that meal. He said, oh no, Mike paid for it. He just didn't know it. So Larry was, and Kevin's right. It was about 7 years ago. Larry was putting a deck on for my mom. And I go over there, and Kevin, we know what these boards are. They're 2x6, 12 foot long for the deck, for the railing. And I said, Larry, let me help you. Help what? I said, carry the board? What, don't think I can do this? I said, I'm not saying that. He said, I got this, kid. I said, okay. He said, don't you got to go back to work? I said, yes, I'm getting out of here now. So I went back, and he got the deck done. Larry used to do plumbing. Anytime I needed plumbing, he says, call me. And I shared this with Linda. I didn't call him one day. He'd just come out of the freaking hospital with heart issues. And he comes up to me in a meeting. He says, hey, kid, come here. I said, what did I do? He says, how come you didn't call me to fix your sink? Larry, you just got out of the hospital? You let me decide what I can do. My mind says Linda's already telling me what he can't do, and he's not going to listen to me. So from then on, I'd say, if you can do it, I'll let you know. Another time, he put a little roof on a little shed I got, and he called me up, and he says, can I get in your pool? I said, Larry, let me come home and unlock the gate. No, lad, I'm putting shingles on the roof. I'll just jump in. I said, that's... These are simple little things. But I have watched Larry grab newcomers. We got my sponsee has a sponsee, and we was talking to him at a meeting one Saturday morning. I thought, man, we're beating a dead horse. This dude the horse ain't gonna get up and run, he's dead. So Larry come out, and we said, here, talk to Larry. He's my sponsor, go talk to him. And Larry was very serious. And so was this tadpole that went up to him. And he shares it to him. And here's how serious Larry was. But for the grace of God, Lord, kept walking off. And he said, what the H was that? I said, that's your answer. He's telling you to turn to God. I saw Larry tell many of us that. And I will share this. I was in a meeting one night, and very seldom when I sat next to Larry, I sat at a table across from them, and I let these older people sit there, because I'm young. And I was sitting there, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit with my sponsor. So all of a sudden, I go and I sat next to Larry, and it's, why do you come to AA? I'm not going to share. They all know I come there because I love it. It's my sobriety. It's my... And out of nowhere, Larry says, my name is Loughney, grateful alcoholic, sober but the grace of God. Zip becomes an AA just to piss people off. And I says, Larry. He goes, well, you do. I said, yeah, but you don't need to announce that. They know I do. And Linda don't know this. He apologized to me the next time I saw him. And I said, Larry, the way you and I bust on each other, you owe me no apologies. Larry is a person, I've had a stepfather, never knew who my real father was. That man was like a father to me. Lear and others said it, I don't play golf. Why would I hit a ball that's right there in front of me? Walk to get it. to hit it again. I am not physically fit for this. Swing at a golf club, I could do it. I was in a bar fight. I've even told the guys, I told Kevin, take me wherever you want on a golf course. Let me drive the golf cart. I'll drive you guys all around. But for the nickname of Zippy, I think that's why they don't take me on the golf course. But I am blessed. I mean this, we can laugh. I am also a firm believer, Miss Linda, that if Larry did not want us laughing, he'd be totally disappointed right now. And I am like Lear and others, it is his turn to cheer that meeting up there. And I am a firm believer he is laughing down at all of us and saying, don't grieve me, let's just enjoy life one day at a time. And but for the grace of God, we'll be together again. So love y'all and just thank you for letting me be on you.
It's got to come way up. My name is Blair, and I am an alcoholic. Hard to follow those two guys, I got to tell you. I'm in the right place today. Thank you, Kevin, for what you said. It's amazing. I understand. Whew. I was honored, truly honored, to have Larry as my sponsor. I, too, did not golf. Can't do it, don't have the patience for it, not who I am. Mark Twain said, golf is a great way to ruin a good walk. Can't do it, not me. I've been sober a couple of days and I don't have that much patience. I got to watch, and I was truly honored to watch it, Kevin come in the program. His life was a little bit of a mess. He had a lot going on. And Larry and Mike were like, come on. And they really, truly took him under their wing like I'd never seen before. It was amazing. They did everything they could to help him any way he could, because they saw who his heart was, and it was good. He was in a bad place. I spent some time talking to Kevin, and we spent a lot of time in the same places. We talked about Lake Havasu City. It's a great place. I got sober out there, so it meant a lot to me. If you've never been to Lake Havasu City, Arizona, go. It's pretty neat. The London Bridge is there. Larry said, hey, Kevin's going through some stuff and he's working on getting his license back. Would you mind helping him? I was like, absolutely, because Larry knew who he was, and I was honored by that. I was a little jealous, too. A little bit jealous. Larry had one of the biggest hearts of any person I've ever met. And he helped me through a transition. I spent 20 years in the Marines, and when I got out, I was completely out of place. And he sat me down and talked to me and just kind of let me know it was okay to be where I was at, because I had about 20 years of sobriety when I met him, and I thought I should be at this place with who I am as a person, and I wasn't there, and he let me know it's okay. We sat on his front porch and we talked a bunch. And then we started doing little projects together. And I learned a lot. We were cutting down a tree in his backyard and the branch didn't go the way it was supposed to go. And it totally mangled his chainsaw. And he never blinked. I'd have been like, my chainsaw. Not Larry. He's like, we'll fix it. I was like, I want to be like that guy. And then I went to his house one time. He had 8 cords of wood. That's an exorbitant amount of wood. It's almost unfathomable. I'm like, how did you get all this wood? He goes, I just started chopping. He's in his 70s. I'm like, holy cow, I can't hold a candle to this guy. That's just who Larry was. I wanted to put a garden in my backyard, and he's like, oh, I'll come over and show you how to use that rototiller. I didn't have the strength or the stamina to do it, and I was in my late 40s, and he's out there doing it. I was like, oh, I need to not invite that guy back to my house anymore. He's killing me. Like I said when I started, I was honored to have him as a sponsor. He is the kind of man that I truly want to be. I want my dash to be as full as his, because he treated the people the way they're supposed to be treated, no matter what they look like, no matter how they acted, no matter what they've been through. He told me stories of what it was like growing up in Ireland, and it was hard. He went through a lot. He told me about stories being in New York City and working there and sleeping in the gutter, and none of it bothered him a bit. It's who he was, that's what he went through. He became the man he wanted to be. And I know today why he could dance an Irish jig on a green, because he understood freedom, his own personal freedom from the things that he had been through. And that was amazing. And I was honored, truly honored to see it. He's a great man. He'll be missed by many. I'm honored to be here today and talk about my friend. And I'll miss him for a long time. Thanks for letting me share.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Adam. Grateful. And I know why a lot of folks are hesitant to come up here, because we break down. You know, Larry touched a lot of souls in this room. I got the chance to meet him when I moved down here from New York in 2011, 2012. We played a lot of golf together, and we bonded on that golf course. Larry and I, we spoke about how I too drank myself into homelessness. He spoke about his journey when he hung out on the Bowery, so we connected. I think we all, my grandmother used to always say, Creator speaks in mysterious ways, it'll touch you, but you gotta be open. You gotta be open-minded, and you gotta be willing to listen. And she used to always tell me, that a hard head will make a soft behind. And when she would tell me, I thought my grandmother was nuts. I was born down in Richmond, Virginia. We would be walking. My grandmother was a Cherokee Indian, and she would talk, and she would say, "Stop. Creator's trying to talk to you." I would say, "Oh man, Grandma done flipped the wig, man. Grandma is nuts." But something happens to us all when we come into the rooms. We become open, and we start listening, and we start realizing how defiant we were when people were trying to cultivate us, trying to teach us how to navigate this course of life. And that's what I loved about Larry. We got the opportunity, and when I was confused and all, I would share with him different paths that I thought I wanted to go, and he said, "No, that's not the right path." And that's what we do with each other. We help each other to stay on a path that's laced with good, orderly direction, because a lot of us, we came in and we lost our way. We were lost, and now we find a better way to live life day at a time. Excuse me. Boy. But I enjoyed it so much. Every opportunity to spend those moments with him, call him or he would call me, and we would meet up. We would go over on the base and play a lot together there, and I had my private time with him, which was good, you know. But he's definitely going to be missed, you know. You don't always say, you know, those words like everyone shared, you know. Hang in there, kid, you know. And so, Linda, much love to you and the family. And you'll always ring true in our hearts and souls and spirits. So, thank you.
I don't usually do something like this, but it was an honor to be with Larry. And it was a joy to see Larry and Linda together. And to me, Larry was the Energizer Bunny. The energy, the strength, the endurance, it was amazing. And my husband and I rented for many years. And when we moved down to Delaware and got a house, we were lost when we had problems. But Larry was there. One time we had a leak in the in the ceiling of one of our bedrooms, right by the fireplace, the chimney. And the only access to the attic was through a door in the ceiling of one of the bedroom closets. He was able to go up there and fix, I don't know, he sealed something. He fixed something up there, but he was the only one I know of who could go up there. And just like he crawled into the crawl space one time in the basement, and when we had a frozen pipe. As I say, he was dedicated to life. He loved life. And he saw many dark days, and so he could really appreciate the sunny days, the good times. And I really thank Larry for his humor, his big smile. I'll always remember that smile. Thank you.
Irish Mike's son. My name is Sean. I'm the child of an alcoholic. A lot of people in this room mean a lot to me. You guys have been my family. My dad's, talked about you guys tremendously. You mean a lot to me. We got to run up back to Jersey. If I don't get to say goodbye, I'll see you on Facebook. I can't even begin to say what Larry meant to me and my family. All I'll say is that when my dad was dying, Larry stayed overnight so my mom could sleep. And, I'll never forget that. Larry was a brother to my father when his own family discarded him completely. Larry was the best friend my dad probably ever had. A miracle occurred when my dad became sober at 60, and it's like Larry was there the whole time. It's like Larry got to the point where he knew the code to our house, and he would just walk in, even, and we loved it. It's like, oh, Larry's here. Larry comforted my son at my father's funeral. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget him standing next to my son. So much. I'll just end with, he was tremendous to my father. Linda, you were in our house, you're our family. He was tremendous to my father when my father was alive, and tremendous to my mother and me when my father passed away. We're going through all my dad's stuff, and I'm like, Larry, what the heck is this? You know, like, what do you use this for? And he's like, he knew everything about every tool. I'm trying to give away these tools and sort these tools like there was nothing he didn't know. I thought my dad knew everything, but Larry knew more than my dad. And last thing I'll say is, you know, my dad's last day on earth, and he's, you know, like shaking, not knowing where he was. He's calling out for water. And, like, I didn't know what to do, you know, and Larry steps right in, and he's like, you're okay, kid. And I'm like, he's 85, he's calling a 77-year-old a kid. I'll never forget that, you know, and I just love that. I think, you know, another word, home is for Larry, but kid is another word. And now I want you to come up here, because I totally took your place. Come on, come on.
I have no idea how to use this. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hi, I'm Madison. I'm the granddaughter. So this is like more of like a letter to him. Oh, okay. Dear Grandpa, I just want to tell you that I love you more than words can express. There are so many things I wanted to just sit and talk to you about, like your past or lessons you've learned throughout your life, and to be able to express to you that you were the strongest and most humble person I've ever known. That I am so thankful to have had you as my grandfather and Cesaya's great-grandfather. I'm going to miss your voice and the wisdom in your advice. I'm going to miss your presence and your loving hugs. Most of all, even though we are no longer able to hug, I will always hold on to the last one you gave me. You are no longer in pain, and you're at peace in heaven with Uncle Lawrence. And I know in my heart that the both of you are with me and our family. You have impacted every single person that is in this room, and you will never be forgotten. You never missed a birthday or a holiday, and you made sure to always be there because you knew how precious time was. My last memory of you that I will always cherish is when we just sat in your recliners because you always had the best furniture. And when you watched YouTube street fights. And I was thinking how peaceful it felt and how cool my grandpa was. The smile on your face when I gave you your Christmas present, I seen how much you loved it, and it warmed my heart. When I was little, I would dress up in all the types of dresses and plastic heels, singing and dancing for you. Grandma in front of the fireplace, making you guys laugh all the time. We would pick vegetables from your garden to have for dinner, and I always wanted to be where you were. You even used to bring me golfing with you and teach me in the garage, and he would also let me do the golf cart. I remember that. And you would take me to the farmer's market, and I'll never forget the smell of the turkey legs. We would go on walks in the park, and I remember seeing a crow, and I named it Foo-Foo. And every time we would see one, you'd call out, like, there's Foo-Foo. And I really thought a bird was following me everywhere. You made my childhood unforgettable. Most of all, my favorite memory is when we would sing You Are My Sunshine to each other. I will forever hold dear to my heart, that song dear to my heart. Even though you are not here physically, I know you're still singing it with me. It is a reminder of our connection and how much you truly loved me. I'm grateful we got to sing it with Cesaria. And you got to be around him. He still talks about you and how much he misses you. I never expected this to happen so soon, and I never wanted to lose you, and it pains me to say goodbye. I know that your spirit is forever, but I would give anything to just hug you one more time. May you rest in peace. I love you, Grandpa. Until we meet again, goodbye is forever, so I'd rather say I see you later.
I figured I'd come up when the microphone was down, so I didn't have to readjust it. My name's Lloyd. I'm an alcoholic. And I had the honor of playing a lot of golf with Larry. Larry was my grand sponsor, but he was more like a sponsor to me. Every Thursday for the last 4 years, I got to pick his brain, and when stuff was going on with me and stuff was going on with him. And it hasn't been said yet here, but Larry had a lot of medical problems. So everything's made out about his age, being 86, and he did this, that, and the other thing, and he did it all with a device implanted in his back for his back pain, for a replaced heart valve, I think it was. The man was a medical miracle. It was just amazing. I remember we were out there one time playing with a couple people, and we hit off the tee, and he outdrove me by about 20, 25 yards, and the guy says to me, he says, "You let that old man outdrive you?" And I said, "You go play with him." You go ahead. I went on one trip with them guys to Myrtle Beach, and Larry rode with me, and we left on a Wednesday morning, and it was a dreary Wednesday morning, rainy, mist, real nasty. And as we're going down, I had a little bit of an accident in the car, and wound up blowing out a tire, and pulled along the side of the road, and we're sitting there, and I says, "Well, I guess I got to call AAA to get them to come out and fix this tire." And Larry says, "We got a tea time. We can't wait for AAA." He says, "Do you have a jack and a spare tire?" And I said, "Larry, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's raining out. We're on a major highway." He said, "I don't care. We have a tea time." The man got out and changed the tire, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't do this." I felt so helpless. But he's out there, man. He jacked that car up, got that thing out, did it, and changed that tire, and off we were. We drove about 70 miles on a donut, and we got to a place where I could get another tire, and got another tire, and we just made the tea time. And that was on Wednesday. Them guys played 2 rounds on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 36 holes each day. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how Larry did it. And then the next day, they hit another course on the way home. Well, that was my one and only golf trip to Myrtle Beach. Instead, I asked Larry to go with me to Ocean City with my son and a couple other guys, with another friend of his, and we did that for the last 5 years, I think, something like that. I'm really gonna miss him. Remember, we were at the me and Kevin were at the hospital the night Larry passed, and Alir and his wife had come in, and Larry was in some distress, and me and Kevin decided, we'll just go and let them take care of him. And while I was there, I was holding his hand, and he was rubbing my hand with his thumb. I bent down. I told him I loved him, and he said, "I love you too, kid." I never thought that'd be the last time I would see him. But I want to read something that I found that I think describes Larry to a T, and it's a quote from Bob Marley. If you don't know who Bob Marley is, he's a reggae singer, anyway. But he quotes, "The greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. That's Larry. I love you, kid.
This is not going to be easy. I'm Debbie. This is my husband, Rick. We're excellent friends of Linda and Larry's. No, I don't want to talk in it. Well, we're sharing memories. I mean, I've been very blessed. I met Linda through Janice, and we became the Golden Girls. That's what we call ourselves. And all I can say is I love Larry. I love Linda. I have never met more humble, soft-spoken, because I couldn't hear him half the time. It would make you laugh when he's talking to you. So many things that he taught me about love, marriage, family. I'll never forget. We were, was having dinner over, and we're just talking, and it was just when Larry found out that he had cancer, he had to start going through tests. And Linda and I are just talking, and the next thing I know, Larry comes up. It's in his arms, and they just slow dance. Just slow dance, right? No song, there's no music, no anything. They're just slow dancing. Larry loved you, Linda, more than I've ever seen. A person, just a spontaneous gentleman. And that's what he was too. He was a gentleman. I remember at the golf, he did it, the miniature golf. We went and played miniature golf. And he did it there too, didn't he, Christy? He did there also. With a cracked kneecap, yes. She had a cracked kneecap when he was dancing with her. Just one other one I really wanted to share. Okay, forget it. Okay, you can do Debbie. Oh, ding dong, diddly, don't make me forget this one. I only saw Larry 2 more times before he died. My husband and I were invited over for dinner. We went over for dinner, spent most of the day over there. And he was talking to Linda on the couch. We're kind of sitting, I was sitting in those nice comfy lounge chairs that you all hear about. They are great. So he was sitting one, I had the other one. And then Linda and Rick, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my own husband's name. I'm sorry, I also had a stroke, so my mind kind of has a brain fart every now and then, especially when I get upset and emotional. And they were sitting on the talk, and they were couch talking. And Larry's a joker. Larry loves to laugh. I only know Larry as a laugher. I know how much he loves his family. I've heard so much about Ireland. Loved Ireland. I heard every story, I'm sure, that I could possibly hear. And through Linda, and during all this, I saw even more pictures. Loved his children, loved his grandchildren, spoke so much about them. And it was such a blessing last night to meet a lot of the children, the grandchildren, because just sitting there, not saying anything, just watching and seeing what he saw, and he's right, pretty special family, I'll tell you. But Larry and I got into a real deep talk. And I've known Larry talk serious. I've always known him to be a joker. And he went into regrets, struggle. It was the deepest talk I've ever had in my whole life, ever. And I told him of my regrets. I mean, we literally just sat there, and I told him, you know what, God loves you. God loves you even with your regrets. It's all gone now. Your family loves you. You just be there now for your family. Don't worry about past regrets. Regrets are just things that will bring you down. It's not worth it. Just love your family as much as you can right now. And Linda calls me later. She goes, Debbie, I just got to ask you. I got to tell you something. I said, what's up, Linda? And she goes, I say, she says, Larry wants to know if it's okay if he says he loves you. Because he wants you to know he really loves you. But I never had a brother. I only had sisters. Oh boy, we were fought too. But he was a brother I never, ever, ever had. So I really miss him right now. He loved this church. Absolutely loved this church. He started coming with Linda. Linda came first and he came. When I'm in church now, I'm standing next to Linda. I miss looking over and seeing Larry singing. The top of his lungs, just singing. He had a nice voice. Very nice voice. He got so close to the Lord. So close. I have no doubt I will see my Larry again. My brother, I'm going to see him again. And I'm sorry I took your time. You wrote yours down, I didn't, so you were lucky. But if you didn't know Larry, you missed out on so much. And I'm telling you right now, all the family I met this night, you were so blessed to know him and to have him as your family. Seriously, I wish I had longer. I only got a year and a half. I feel kind of like I got ripped, but the Lord took him home, and I know he's up there playing golf. I'm sure that there is a golf course up in heaven. I have no doubt. His son's up there, and he's up there playing golf right now. So I'm going to now hand it over to my husband. See, there's yours. I don't know. I probably mixed it up, so.
I just want to say, first I want to give all my sincere condolences to the family and friends, Larry, and I really wanted to do that. And, you know, in the little time that my wife and I got to know Larry, he made a big impression and an impact on our lives. And one thing I liked about Larry was you can sit around and joke with him, and he would he'd make you feel like right at home, like you were with the family. And there was nothing that he made you feel like I had to be something different than what I am. I can be myself. And that's what I appreciated, Larry's friendship. Just one thing I got to do before Larry passed was I got a chance to go play golf with him. And the funny thing about that is it was a windy, cold day that day, and I'm really not wanting to go. And I'm not a real avid golfer or anything by the stretch of the imagination, but I said, well, I'm going to go anyway, you know, and so I went, and he kicked my butt. Yeah, that's what Larry did, but and I think we understand how he loved golf. But the thing is, it wasn't so much about the golf. It was more about the fellowship that we were able to have, and that time spent together with a friend. And I don't want to say Larry was a good man. He was a good friend, and I enjoyed the times we shared together. And there's times we're spent talking about the things of God, and I appreciate that about him this morning. Thank you.
Oh, it's very hard to follow that. When I met Linda and Larry, it was at a party, and we just kind of reached out. Linda put her hand out to me, and from that point on, we've been friends for 5 years. And then I met Larry, and it was that smile, that big smile, that I absolutely loved. Another thing is, too, he was very soft-spoken, And there would be some things going on in the house and whatnot. And then Linda would be saying something, and then all of a sudden he's going, now he would whisper to me, and it was just so amazing. But it was the friendship that built so quickly. It was really solid, besides the fact that he also was a very good friend of my husband's. And for me, when we came into this church, it is the love that we have found here that really surrounded Larry tremendously. And I'm ever so grateful for Maranatha Fellowship and your hospitality and your preaching of the word. And I saw the transition of Larry go from one point in his life, and all of a sudden, it had transformed their marriage. It was amazing. And I just think that was all part of God's plan to get to this point. And these are the people that put their arms around him and became really close friends. And yes, we are the Golden Girls, and we will always have that. Debbie and Linda and I, we're very good friends. But we also love the Lord. And to me, Larry was really the epitome of showing that, the way he was so humble with so many people. So I just thank you. And also meeting your family. Oh, it's been such a joy to meet you and to hear the things that you've said. We can see how important this man was in your life. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Lynch. I'm a recovering alcoholic, grateful recovering alcoholic at that. I met Larry at the Sunday morning meeting in the hospital. I met him and Mike at the same time, and all I could do was, oh yeah, I'm in the right place. You know, because I heard the brogue on both of them. And I asked him, well, where are you, what part of home are you from? And Mike said he was from somewhere up north. And I told him we wouldn't hold that against him. And then Larry said that he was from Ballina. Well, the alarm bells went off. My grandmother and grandfather are from the town of Ballina. You know, in that lovely, grand and lovely county of Mayo. And up Mayo! Larry, we got to talking, and apparently my great-grandmother, my mother's grandmother, was an Irish rebel. She ran away from the convent, married a divorced man, and she bought the town pub, which Larry would later turn around and advise me that he had a lifetime ban in, the pontoon bridge. I've checked with my relatives. It's under review. Yeah. And then it came out, my profession was, I was a New York City police officer. Larry was convinced there was a warning poster up in all the precincts headquarters that if you saw him, you were on the street, you had 100% authorization and you were mandated to beat the living bejesus out of him. I've checked with him at 1 PP. That's currently under review as well. We're not sure how that one's going to go, though. You know, but one of the first things Larry told me was, you know, kid, I think we can both help each other. And he did. You know, and we got to know each other. I didn't go for the golf game. I had a small problem with a torn rotator cuff from somebody I rolled around with one time. So anything after 3 holes, my shoulder's killing me. But you know, it was good, and we had some fun. My sponsor and I took Larry out crabbing because he had said, I had known that he had worked on the lobster boats back at home. He did okay with the pots. It was the trot line he had a problem with. But by the end of the day, he was almost getting 50% of the crabs that were on the trot line. And we laughed more, and we had a great day, you know? Because it was one of those, with my sponsor and I, it was like a private meeting for us, and Larry was now a part of it. You know, and I think back to that day every now and then. I haven't gotten to see Larry as much as I would like. I kind of stopped coming down to Dover as much as I used to. But I always think back to him. And Linda, Linda breaking my shoes. The first day we met, we're going out to the family diner after the meeting. And I had to go. Yeah, but I already had things to do. And, you know, an hour before, we were all down in the cafeteria having breakfast. But it was always a pleasure to see you, to see Larry, you and your whole family. May God hold you in the palm of his hand till we all meet again. Thanks.
Paul and Devette and Carlita, would you guys come? They're going to sing a song that Linda asked if they would do a special song titled Jealous of the Angels, and then followed by that, Bob will come and lead us in the Lord's Prayer. Oh, okay, sorry.
Today would be our last, or that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. Praying you just walk back through that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small, and you were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face this again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight, singing I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight.
So we'll have Zippity. Is that right? Zippity. Zippity? I am so sorry. Larry would be laughing at me like crazy right now. I am so sorry, sir.
Nothing like a pastor to mess up my name. Forgive him, God. He did not mean that.
That's
I've been called a lot worse 50 years ago. We have a way of closing. Can I ask everyone to please stand? I'm going to ask you all to join me in our Lord's Prayer. It's the way we normally close a lot of our meetings, but it's the greatest send-off we can give for our friend, family member, Larry. Whose Father? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Works for you to live.
I don't think I'm going to live that down. We've got 2 songs on the bagpipes as we close out the service, and then following the last song, there is a meal out back, and we'd love to have everybody join and again continue to share memories about Larry and the impact he made on your life. So